He's a senior non-residential scholar at the Gulf International Forum and a former Pentagon director of Arabian Peninsula Affairs. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. David, always good to have you with us here. So look, according to the Wall Street Journal today, senior officials in the Trump administration, led by Vice President J.D. Vance, are urging Trump to try diplomacy first before any military strikes against Iran. Are we starting to see, do you think, a dialing back of the argument to use military force as a first response, especially with Trump now saying today any country trading with Iran will face this 25% tariff doing business with the US?
Yeah, so military force is never Trump's preferred mode of option. He prefers to pull the economic lever of state power. And right now, the United States doesn't have an aircraft carrier or an amphibious landing ship in striking distance of Iran. We don't really have the military assets in the region to conduct a sustained campaign or anything other than a one-off strike like you saw with the bombers from Missouri in July. So I think this reflects in part Vance's desire to differentiate the Trump republicanism from the interventionism associated with George W. Bush. And it also reflects reality, which is that there's probably not a military option that would be effective that is readily at hand right now.
And it's interesting, David, because over the last few days in Iran, we've seen anti-government protests being overtaken by pro-government supporters on the streets. Does this now weaken Trump's argument of using military force if the dynamic on the streets is changing as well?
I don't think that will come into play in Washington. I mean, the Iranian regime has used the Basij, the auxiliaries of the Revolutionary Guard, to suppress protests, and historically, you know, they are able to call out on regime loyalists to engage in street fighting. That's not the sort of thing that I think will rise to the level of a determinative factor. It's just viewed as a tactical gambit from the Iranian playbook.
And over the last 24 hours, both Trump and the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, have said the Iranians are offering to negotiate on the nuclear issue. How significant is this back-channel diplomacy with Steve Witkoff? What exactly do the Iranians want, David?
I think they want time. The Iranians know that they're dealing with a democracy, with a president who has a lot of people in his own country who don't like him, and in the context of an ongoing argument over the use of force by the president without resort to Congress. So I think the Iranians have calculated that anything that can, you know, if Trump is going to do a military strike, and that's still very uncertain, but anything that draws out the argument makes the eventuality of a military strike much smaller than it would have been, say, right now.
In terms of the diplomacy, let's remind our viewers that last year a series of diplomatic talks in Oman and Rome failed spectacularly, before Israel and the US launched those multiple airstrikes on Iran in June that you just mentioned. Talk us through, then, what needs to be achieved this time round to prevent diplomatic failure and a similar deadly escalation.
Yeah. So the first round of talks, Trump said he'll give them 60 days. The Israeli strikes were launched on day 61. What happened was you had a couple of good rounds where you were talking about how the talks should go, what the format should be. But then you hit the brick wall, which was enrichment. Iran insisting that it maintains domestic enrichment, and the United States saying that they can't have enrichment. I think that this administration does learn. So I think that, you know, you'll always have talks about talks because the administration has to show that it's not ruling out diplomacy. But if there's no real movement on the enrichment issue, I think that the Trump administration will view this as a tactical ploy to play for time.
And David, just a final thought to you now on how all of this is playing out domestically in the US for Trump. Let's remember that Trump's airstrikes on Iran last year provoked some divisions within his own MAGA base. So could Iran become a major issue for Trump and the GOP in the run-up to the all-important midterms?
Only if it doesn't work. You know, there was initial unease with the use of a major attack, I think in large part because people thought that those airstrikes might be the prequel to a full-scale operation. They felt that, you know, this is what we saw, you know, George W. Bush ran as a non-interventionist president and then wound up involved in two very long-running wars. But Trump did keep his word. There was a one-off strike and that was it. So if we see Trump wants to see economic pressure bring down the Iranian regime. If that doesn't work and he takes military action, I think it'll be focused, limited, and extremely targeted.
David Des Roches, always good to get your thoughts and your analysis, David. Many thanks for your time. Thank you.
Good to be back.